Okay.
Okay, I'm going to.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
You're supposed to do it at the same time, Jen.
You said 0.
Well, 3, 2, 1.
When you
clap.
hit 0, we all clap.
Zero is implied.
Oh,
3,
sorry.
2, 1.
There we go.
Now we're all in sync. Okay.
It's like you implied. Well, Jen told me last night that she's not easily offended. And I said, well, that's good because you never know what someone's going to throw at you here.
In this episode of Charbroiled Chats, Grace, Jen, and Wally talk about... Wait, I'm in this episode? Let's see. Grace, Jen, and Wally sing Red Rubber Ball, talk about the monster Neil Young, and how music can cure spider bites. Well, it sure sounds like I'm in this episode. Okay then, let's hear what I have to say.
Well, so Walt, I was talking to Jen last night, and I said the first thing I wanted to ask is, what's your problem with music? Because you've got a problem with music, right?
No, I don't have a problem.
Yes, you do.
People call me a music hater.
You're a music hater.
That's not true. It's just that I just don't get it. I just don't understand why everyone is so into music and I'm not. And I guess what I'm upset about is being such an outsider. Okay, it doesn't not affect me. I get it. I get the emotional pull of music sometimes, but I don't have that deep dive into it that most people have.
Yeah, I think maybe you're the only person I know that that feels this way about music.
Tell me about it.
It's interesting.
I'm so lonely.
Yeah. It is
really.
It is interesting though.
Because if you ask anybody on the street to name their top 5 favorite singers or bands or whatever, they'll be able to go on for half an hour.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, who's your favorite painter, who's your favorite photographer, who's your favorite cinematographer, they won't have any answer. It's all music.
You know what's interesting about that is millennials. I had this group of millennials in a marketing position that I had, and I said that one of them was telling me that before she was in this position, she worked at Nordstrom's at the makeup counter. Mm-hmm. And one of her clients was, what's the lead singer of Aerosmith?
Steven Tyler,
who has a house down here. And she's like, oh God, he would come in all the time and he's got his bodyguards and all he wanted was his eyebrow cream. He'd say, Kat, can I have my eyebrow cream? And I'm like, Steven Tyler came in all the time?
Steven Tyler!
Even though I'm not a huge Aerosmith fan, and I finally said to him, why doesn't that mean anything to you?
Right.
And they said, I don't know, I guess we had more electronics growing up and stuff like that. So I guess my question to you, Walt, would be, what did you have in place of music?
Driving.
Okay.
See, I told you.
Yeah, there you go.
I told her that you love to drive.
Yeah, that's kind of my obsession, but that's not... I'm not saying that everybody is obsessed with music, but everybody is deeply involved in a way that I'm not even close to. I found this thing... musical anhedonia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The inability to derive pleasure from music. And then there's musical agnosia. They can recognize and understand music but fail to enjoy it. And I think I'm neither of those. I mean, I listen to music when I write.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I have to almost because it blocks out some other things.
Well, that's interesting because I cannot listen to music when I write because if music is on, I listen to it.
Okay.
I cannot tune it out unless it's like the kind of stuff that like your massage therapist will put on that's, barely music.
Yeah, spa music.
But if music is in the background, that's what I'm going to pay attention to. That's, I can't tune it out because I'm wired to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to it. No words, music with no words, like soundtracks and that sort of thing. But I have to, somehow that cuts out a waveform or something that lets me concentrate on the words. And so it's not that I'm anti-music or I hate music, but it's just I can tell it's a completely different sense of it that other people have.
Let me ask you this. So my husband is a musician. He's a B3 player. He plays a keyboard, organ, other piano and whatnot. he listens to music for a completely different reason than I listen to music. You know, we go to concerts and he just like, I'll be up dancing and, you know, singing every word, and he like sits in his chair and stares forward. You know, now I'm used to it, but if people are always like, is Sam having a good time? And the answer, if I asked him, he would be like, well, I'm breaking down the tones of where the keyboard comes in and where the percussion takes over.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm like into some sounds bring back memories, and I'm surprised, Walt, this is something that's surprising from my perspective, because music really is poetry put to sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or at least it used to be more like that. Bob Dylan, if nothing else, is a poet. He didn't have a great voice. He, you know, wasn't a great social person. He wasn't a personality. He was a poet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Neil Young is incredibly ugly. And I can tell you that because I got smashed in front of the stage in front of him. And I was like, yeah, monster. But I followed him all over the place because of his lyrics.
Literally followed him?
Literally.
Stalked him?
Followed him.
Yeah, she stalked him.
Yeah.
She stalked him.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, for me, honestly, like there have been times, and it can be recorded, but it usually has been live when I'm literally transported to a different plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's what music is all about. It is very emotional to me, and that's why I don't really listen to jazz, because jazz does not do it for me emotionally at all.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
But I was also thinking about, you know, when did I get into that? And it's weird. My brother is a musician.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my both of my sisters are very into music,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, my mother has taken all of us to see Tom Jones with her. So
Engelbert Humperdinck? That's where my mother used to go see.
she liked him too, but Tom, you know, Tom was it, and we've all seen him
I like him.
We've all seen him a couple of times with her, and he's real. I mean, you know,
He's awesome.
yeah, he really is. I mean, he's one of the few people with this voice that has really held out for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just was thinking about when we were children, literal children, and I'm not talking about like 13 or anything. I can think of when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. Every night after dinner, my parents would put on records and we would just dance for hours. That's what we would do. We would listen to music and dance.
The Tarantella?
Pardon?
Tarantella? Would that be?
Yes, it was all the Italian singers.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, it was funny because I was thinking about one of the things I remember the Supremes being on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had those Italian singers, Enzo, whatever his name was, Sergio Franchi was a big one, and Enzo Stuarti or something like that. Anyway, but I remember the Supremes being on, and then I think it was one of those K-Tel collections because it had a whole bunch of songs on, and I was thinking about one of those songs the other day, Red Rubber Ball.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
No.
God, how does it go? The morning,
Yeah,
yes,
like
the
a
morning
red
sun
rubber
shining
ball.
like a red rubber
Dun, 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 dun.
It's gonna be all right. Get up, the worst is over now. Blah 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 blah.
I think that was Turtle. Wasn't that the Turtle?
I still love that song.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just really remember that super well. We had music every single night,
Yeah. The morning sun is shining like a red.
and we always had the radio going. And I can remember when I was like 10. The DeFranco family was playing at the mall.
Oh God, yes. I had that 45.
Well, they were playing at the mall.
Heartbeat. It's a love beat. Yep.
Wow.
They were playing at the mall, but we were camping that weekend, and my father refused to drive me to the mall to see them, and I was just furious.
At the mall.
You know, and of course the Partridge Family.
We were a Beatles family.
So it started really young, definitely.
When I was around that age, probably 8 or 10,
That's when you learned to drive.
that's when I learned to drive, yeah. But kids in school, you'd get your little radio,
Yeah.
transistor radio, and you'd do your homework listening to the local DJ. And I started doing that
Yeah.
because the other kids did it. Boom Boom Brannigan was the big DJ.
Boom, boom, what?
Boom Boom Brannigan was the top DJ in the Capital District.
Boom, boom, Brannigan. Oh, my God.
So I started doing that and listening to the music and trying to remember the songs, and so I could relate to them and talk to kids at school about the latest. And then I just stopped, and
But you didn't care that much.
it didn't interest me at all.
You were like Frankenstein trying to be human.
That's one way to put
I
it.
know.
But yeah, I had the beginnings of it there when everybody latches onto it, but I didn't
Yeah.
check in. I don't know why.
I think getting into it with your friends too is what keeps it going.
Right.
You know, especially like junior high, high school. I remember the first concert I went to, I don't know what yours was, Jen, was the Runaways.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that was a mall concert. They came to the Boulevard Mall, and I went to see them, and they were so badass. But then the first huge one I saw was Fleetwood Mac when I was 14. And I'm a nerd, so I still have all my ticket stubs, and that was $8.
Oh, so do I.
That was $8. An $8 ticket for Fleetwood Mac. Now it would probably be like $180.
Oh, at least.
Right.
And that's for a nosebleed seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your first concert?
Mine was Rush it was the 2112 album that they had just released. So Geddy Lee
Rush.
was in his, this flowing gown kind of thing with super long hair, and Neil Peart was up there, and couldn't wait to hear Workin' Man, his big drum solo. And it was a great concert or whatever, but the other thing is there was a lot of pot smoking going on.
I was going to say there was a lot of weed in the air, I'm sure.
Oh my God. It was like, you basically sit there and you don't even know where it's coming from. It was like, somebody would just pass you something and you'd take a
Doesn't matter.
hit and pass it on. And I mean, this was like, every concert was like that. And people would smoke cigarettes in between.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd see that haze of smoke on
Totally.
the floor. Yeah.
Totally.
How much did that enhance the connection with music,
I don't think it did for me, honestly. It didn't enhance it for me.
Yeah.
I think it did to a point. It would be the type of music. There is a type of music. So when I hear The Battle of Evermore by Led Zeppelin, it reminds me of it being a teenager experimenting with drugs. Because that was like something you'd put on when you were at a party or something. And,
Yeah.
But a lot of it is, from my perspective, is just certain sounds make me feel a certain way. It's like I can almost reach out and touch something when I hear certain songs and certain...
Yeah, it's...
I'm not sure why that happens, but...
What's weird for me is that feeling in particular is associated with college. I don't know why. But, there's a million songs and a million kinds of music that bring back memories for me. But for some reason, those college years, that is just so... like potent, you know what I mean? Like hearing the Go-Go's or hearing the Clash or hearing like certain like Tainted Love, Come On Eileen, like those songs.
Yeah.
I just those are the things. It's just college all over again, and probably like the best show I ever saw was in college. It was Gang of Four, And so Wally, just so you know, these names I'm sure mean nothing to you. So Jen and I, our musical taste is different. Mine is more like alternative / was punk, and it still pretty much is. Yours is more like classic rock, right?
Classic rock and folk.
Yeah, there's stuff that overlaps. Like, do you like Nico Case? Are you a Nico Case fan?
No, I don't even know who... Oh. Honestly, I'm sad to say I don't even know who that is.
You have got to get something of hers. Oh, my God. She's been my favorite for like 10 years now. She's amazing.
There's so many of them now.
This is a common thread, too.
What's a common thread?
People try to hook you into their music.
Yes.
when they mention something and,
Yeah.
Really.
No, I don't want to listen to Nico Case. You have to.
Well, sometimes I pick up on that and sometimes I don't. It really depends. There are people that if they recommend something to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to like that.
Yeah.
But then there are other people, like Jen, I know you've mentioned like some country people to me over the years that I really ended up liking.
Yeah. Jason Isbell. And the country music was like, no, I never listened to country music.
Oh, I know.
It was,
No,
I couldn't.
Either back then.
And a lot of it, back to why I listen to music, the lyrics, it's almost too simple. I hate to say it, but it's almost too simple for me to listen to. But they're displaying what they see in their life.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're writing about. That's how they kind of come to a song or write a song. It's their trick.
So you are looking for the poetry as much as the music.
I am. I'm looking for, like I said, there's certain sounds that bring back like some serious memories. But a lot of times if I hear something that really moves me from a lyric perspective. I mean, that's a biggie for me. Case in point, Jason Isbell. That's one of the people I was talking to you about. Now, Jason Isbell is what's called Americana.
Yeah.
Which is folk music.
Like Wilco and...
Right. It's kind of folk music that's written with with country lyrics, if that means anything.
And you're trying to tell me that I should listen to that.
Well, listen to, like, he wrote a song that's semi-simple, but it's called Elephant. So if you get a chance, listen to Jason Isbell's Elephant.
Did you hear that thunder? We're having a huge thunderstorm.
I heard something. That was thunder?
Yeah, I heard a crack.
The monitor actually went off.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I'll probably be electrocuted here. All
right. Well, let us know if...
I'm glad we're on Zoom so we could see that.
Yeah, let us know if you get electrocuted.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be electrocuted before the power goes out. So you can see it. You know, when you say these names probably don't mean anything to you, it's absolutely true. I don't know the difference between Led Zeppelin and AC/DC or Wings or anybody.
Wings?
Well, Tom Jones I know, but seriously.
Everyone knows Tom.
When people talk about it, I have nowhere to begin. I have no way into the conversation.
Let me ask you this, Walt. When you were with your friends growing up, was everybody driving? Or was, like, when you would hang with people, what were they doing?
Yeah, no, I was alone with the driving, too. Nobody cared about that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any friends, honestly?
I'm one of those quiet loners that lives next door, and you never expect the Boy Scouts under the crawl space.
Under the floorboards.
Yeah, when your animals start disappearing strangely.
Right.
Your cat never comes home.
Yeah. No, I'd say,
or your kid.
My friends would talk about...
and do you have a clown suit, Walt?
Right. We'd talk about... We were into movies. We were into books. Not really sports either. So my friends were limited.
Yeah, honestly, all my friends in high school, it was music.
Right.
Honestly, we didn't talk about books. I mean, I was into movies by then. I didn't really have that many people to talk to, about movies. But
I saw some research about, I think it was 12 to 28 or something. You get locked into the music.
Really?
And after that, you don't care anymore. You keep going back, which, maybe for a real aficionado, that's not the way it works. But for a lot of people, I think anything past when they were 35 is junk.
Yeah, see, that's not me at all.
Yeah.
That's not me at all. And in fact, the woman I was just mentioning, Nico Case. I mean, I've come to her in the last 15 years. And I'm always afraid, I don't keep up with the music the way I used to. And I'm always afraid I'm going to miss something. Yeah. That there's something really good out there that I'm just not hearing. And that makes me upset because I love having new music,
Luis won't tell you what he listens to.
Yeah, Jen, my son will not tell me what he's always got music on. He will not tell me what he listens to.
Why?
I don't know.
Why won't he tell you?
Do
you know what is a genre or what?
Yeah, what it sounds like mostly is electronic and hip hop mostly,
Okay.
And there's a lot of stuff that I've played for him over the years, and he always really liked the funk.
Yeah.
He liked Prince, he liked
me too.
Sly and the Family Stone,
Blood, Sweat and Tears.
Yeah, and then and he's also into the electronic stuff too. He always liked that. We have these groups, Fever Ray and The Knife and The Field, and they're all these electronic. So I think he's still into that. The one thing that's interesting with him though is he's not that psyched about live music. The last show I took him to, I took him to see Jack White at Art Park. I mean, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and he was kind of underwhelmed, and he's like, it's a little loud for me. And, and I'm like, that's the point. You can feel it in your heart, So that's kind of weird. But, going back to the lyrics thing, when I think about who my favorites have been over the year, my top of the line favorites, they always have been really good lyricists. So Elvis Costello, R.E.M., this Throwing Muses, Mazzy Star, Nico Case, and amazing lyrics. So I definitely have a fondness for that too. But I can go for stuff that's just squealing guitars too.
I can't.
You don't do that?
To a point. I just,
Yeah.
it's weird. Like, it depends on the mood I'm in. It depends on the situation I'm in. It depends on how upbeat I feel for the day or,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. The other thing that I wanted to point out about music from my experience was that some of the best times I've had, which is why, Walt, I asked you about, what you and your friends would do. Some of the best times that I had were at these crazy concerts. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the Grateful Dead. I wasn't as into it as some of my friends. I went to maybe maybe 10, 12 Grateful Dead concerts.
10 or 12.
Yeah, and I used to go because I wanted to see them dance and do the fake ball thing in their hand for because they were all basically tripping on acid. But
Yeah.
it was a great entertainment. And if it was I remember the Who in '82 up in the stadium.
I saw that show.
Yeah,
The Clash opened for them.
Yes, the Clash. I think it was the Clash, Bob Dylan, and the Who. I mean, it was like some
I don't remember Bob
crazy.
Dylan.
Maybe it wasn't. It was somebody else. It was the Clash, somebody else, and I think in the Who.
Okay.
But anyway, here's 82,000 people with their fists up in the air singing Teenage Wasteland. And it was I just remember during the day, it was this beautiful sunny day out. And it was just this amazing time.
Yeah, so much fun.
And what you were saying, Walt, about the 12 to 28 or 12 to 35, you guys were talking last week or the week before about how, it's not quite, nothing's really as, moving as it used to be, or is it, that could be it too, because, I am also in that kind of, God, I wish I could have an epiphany or something that was, exciting other than my chocolate smoothie. But I can't seem to find, that might be it, because...
But what's wrong with that?
It's like you get to a point where you just can't move anymore. It's just I don't know if you've heard it or if it just doesn't do it or...
You see, that's not the way I feel either. Music still, like I said, with the Jack White concert, it was 2 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
I was in heaven, literally. And I wish I could go to more live music. The reason I can't is because, I still like bands that are probably more off the beaten path, and they come on at midnight. I'm not doing that.
Oh,
I can't do that.
Yeah.
But
No,
if I
right.
have the chance still to see someone live, like we went to see, oh my God, this was really fun. We went to see George Clinton and Parliament. Oh my God. How much fun was that? But like the peak experiences in my life, just about, not involving interpersonal relationships, but like the peak experiences in my life have been live music.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, a lot of them.
And you wonder why I'm so annoyed by music. I've missed all those peak experiences. I had nothing. I've had nothing.
That's sad.
My life has been a waste.
Well,
that's very sad.
Thanks, music.
Walt, other than driving, what does move you? I mean, music is basically moving in some form, or we wouldn't all keep going back to want to listen to the same stuff or listen to something that
Right.
What does that for you?
Certain movies, I guess.
Which ones? I'm just curious. I don't know if I know what your favorites are.
I like engineering movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like human relationship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like Apollo 13 and Saving Private Ryan and old guy movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like rom-coms either.
No.
You know that.
I'm not a rom-com person either.
Oh, so you like things where people have to solve a problem, perhaps?
Master and Commander.
Yeah.
Where they cast their own cannonballs.
I know, don't you love that?
Like you both said, those times of your lives were the best thing. I found this, and relating to your husband too, Jen, professional musicians use the occipital cortex, which is the visual cortex, when they listen to music, while regular people use the temporal lobe, the auditory and language center.
I would say that's true.
My old boyfriend was a guitarist, and I remember we went to see, this was before we were going out, but we both went to see this concert, this Gang of Four concert that I said was the best that I've ever seen. And I remember my ex-boyfriend saying, like, oh, I was watching him the whole time. He never looked at his fingers and blah, blah, you know what I mean? And that's not what I was experiencing at all. I was like, the music stopped and I would not stop dancing because it was so good, And so, no, that's true. Now, I've never really asked my brother about that, but my brother always has music going, and I don't think I don't think he's listening to it necessarily as a musician technically, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, if not, it's almost like a professional musician isn't having the same wonderful experience.
As good a time?
Yeah.
Maybe not. And the whole thing with musicians, that this kind of links up to me. That musicians, a facility for music is very closely tied with a facility for math.
Mm-hmm, right.
Yes, it is.
So for musicians, maybe it's more of a technical thing, right? It's more of a math-oriented kind of thing than it is for other people. I don't know.
I think that is absolutely true. My husband has kind of an engineering heart. He's always engineering something, production or, building or whatever he's doing. He just doesn't approach it the way I approach it. Sometimes it makes me mad because I'm like, isn't that the best song? And he's like, yeah, it's all right. It's a good song.
So if it weren't, if the production levels weren't there or the musicianship wasn't there, would he not be able to like it?
Probably not. I mean, he doesn't, he just...
Because the Ramones, right? 3 chords, that's all they knew. So he probably wouldn't appreciate the Ramones.
No, and after it was over, and I'll give you an example. So I love Bonnie Raitt, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to be Bonnie Raitt. I tried to grow my hair like Bonnie Raitt.
Yeah.
And she can play a mean slide guitar. I mean, she's unbelievable. And I do look for that stuff, too. I'm not into, shabby musicians.
Yeah.
The ones I like, I can honestly say are decent musicians. But, when her song, I Can't Make You Love Me came on, which is, just this, and it's kind of the chords are the same chords over and over again. He's like, oh, I hate that song. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is the best song. It's about a girl who, sleeps with her. She can't make him, even though she loves, and he's like, it's the same chords over and over. I used to hate when they called that out, that I'd have to, and I'm like, I can't even, believe that he would, it's still a contention with us to this day that, if it'll come on, he'll go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop, it's great.
It's like you're looking at a bridge at sunset and it's a beautiful view, and the guy who designed the bridge looks at it and sees the stresses. And,
you got it. That's it.
Yeah.
So they really don't appreciate it as well as the non-musician.
Maybe not.
Yeah, or they appreciate it for much different reasons.
In a different way. Yeah. In a different way.
It's a technical exercise. I went to a Ramones concert once.
Yeah?
You did not.
With David Kilborn. Now, David Kilborn and Tim Farrell.
Oh, really?
In Montreal.
Really?
It was...
Wow.
It was so freaking loud. They had to stand right next to
of course. You have to.
Massive speakers. I literally, on the way home the next day, I couldn't hear a thing.
Yeah.
For a day and a half.
I remember going to this show. There was this group that I used to like, Husker Du. They were, kind of post-punk. Anyway, and the lead singer went out on his own. I went to see him play. Bob Mould was his name. And I had heard that he was loud, right? And there was a band opening up for him called Ultra Vivid Scene, and they were pretty loud. And I remember my sister went with me, and I said, oh, come on, how could he be louder than this, right? And he came out, and it was painful. I mean, it hurt. So, and then all of a sudden we noticed everyone there just about had earplugs in, and we had to leave. After 10 minutes, we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to move away toward the back of the arena.
It literally hurt. It felt like someone was putting a needle in my ear.
Ted Nugent came to town. We had a couple of friends who were like Ted Nugent, like super fans.
Oh.
So we all went. It was the Wango Tango concert where he comes out in like a loincloth, and he's on a rope and he's swinging back and forth on the stage.
Oh, God.
And his big thing was that he was going to explode at 90,000 decibels.
Oh, my
and
God.
That's very loud. So the whole concert, I'm like,
yeah,
it was really uncomfortable, really loud, really. And afterwards, for like the day, I had a headache.
Yeah.
And so we get up from even beforehand, so we get up from the concert, and I'm like, oh my God, I can barely hear. And everybody around me goes, didn't you get the bag of earplugs? And I'm like, what bag of earplugs? They all take it out of their ear, so I'm like, ooh, hearing nothing. It was just, it was just not enjoyable, and there was really no reason for it.
Yeah, do they lose their hearing?
What is it about the volume? Is that part of the musical experience? Is that...
Well, there's one show, I generally don't like it at ear-piercing levels, like the one that I left, but I have seen shows that approach that I still loved. There's a group called Catherine Wheel, and like I could feel the bass in my chest. It was just like the bass was in my chest the whole time, And another group, Love and Rockets, they were very, very, but they were so good. But they weren't to that needle in the ear level. Although I remember I went with a friend of mine to see Love and Rockets, and she fell asleep.
Oh my God!
I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
I remember seeing 2 Springsteen concerts, I think, one night apart, and he's not overly loud usually, but my ears rang for 3 days after that, and that supposedly is damage, right? So I'm kind of surprised that I don't have hearing loss because I've seen hundreds of concerts.
I figure I will eventually have hearing loss. Just because
I do.
You do from racing?
No, I think it's just geriatric.
Oh,
from geriatrics?
Yeah, well, we'll all get that, but
no, that's a very prominent thing with musicians too.
That's scary.
My husband religiously puts he religiously has, and for his whole career has put earplugs in.
Well, and one thing I never thought about either is with musicians, like my brother has back problems. He's a percussionist,
Yeah.
And then my friend's son plays violin, and he has repetitive stress stuff, And so I guess you never really think about that until you know musicians up close and personal,
Oh, yeah, totally.
Did you see that movie about the guy the drummer, I think he's a heavy metal drummer who loses his hearing?
No,
I heard it was really good, though.
It's a little bit ponderous, but...
Silent metal or something? Silent metal? Yeah. No, I want to see that.
Something like that. Yeah, it's good. It's just there's a little bit of too much...
Of course there is.
Ponderous.
They can't make a decent movie. But that's just my opinion. Well, Walt, you probably haven't been, but we got the Ryman Theater here. And the Ryman Theater's big call to everything is that it's the most soundly, profound theater there is. The guy spent
Oh, it's like acoustically perfect?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. Anything in the Ryman is beautiful. Well, King Crimson came in, and I don't know if you guys, they're sort of like...
You saw King Crimson?
Yes, last year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And King Crimson is like 3...
I know, Walt's like, wow, Crimson!
Yeah, King Crimson. I think they have 3 drummers, and the musicianship is out of control, Walt. Yeah. I mean, these guys are like the top musicians, and they do this... It's not alternative. It's sort of, I guess it's somewhat alternative, but unfortunately, in the Ryman, if you have to play to the Ryman's sound.
Oh.
They were so loud. People were kind of backing up from the stage, like backing up from their chairs and standing against the wall in the back.
That's interesting.
Because it was sad because they're just so great, but you have to, the Ryman is already set. So you don't have to blow anybody's ears out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they meant to do it. I think that's just how they normally play. Right. But it was just interesting because when you saw the wall of people.
Yeah.
Sold out concert, and everybody was up against the back wall trying to, put some distance between those speakers and themselves.
When I think acoustically perfect, I don't think of a place. I think of Katie Lang. Like, I've seen her probably 4 or 5 times, and it's interesting because her music, there's some that's kind of rockin' and stuff, but it's mostly, more ballads and country-ish stuff. One time when I saw her, my body felt different for 3 days.
Really?
Because there's something about her voice that just...
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my God. She has the best voice, period, as far as I'm concerned, But yeah, my body felt different. It almost relaxed me. It was really interesting.
People didn't have access to music until the last 100 years, or...
You mean to playing it when they wanted to?
Right. You get together on Saturday night at the
hoedown.
The hoedown, exactly. But and before that, you might go to if you were rich, you might go to the opera house or something. But it's only recently, it's technology made this accessibility possible. So what were people in the olden days from what we would see as a lack of music.
I mean, I don't
know
know
about
if
that.
they really did for sure,
No.
though, did they?
I don't think
because
so.
I feel like there were levels of music, right?
Right.
Like there's going to be things that people just play at home, like a recorder.
Right.
And then there's going to be the opera, or there's going to be the composers who get hired by the royalty to do stuff, and but I feel like there's always been music at different levels. Yeah, maybe it was like before the printing press, you couldn't get books, right? If you were just middle class or poor, but you still heard stories. So I feel like it's maybe the same thing with music. Right. I don't know, but I'm not a historian, so maybe you're right. I don't know.
We talked about the same sort of thing with stories the last time about how many stories do you need? We drown ourselves in stories, or listen to a podcast and then watch Netflix and then read a book, and then we can't seem to get enough of them. And it's the same with music. It seems now we have this hunger, appetite for more, and it just 300 years ago, 500 years ago, people were working, trying to stay alive, and they didn't have discretionary income or time even. Were they hungry for music? Are we filling a vacuum now? What is the reason for it?
Oh, you mean they didn't have enough of it, and now what we have is what they would have had if they could have?
Right. It seems to be built into us that we demand this flood of music or stories, but they didn't have it.
I mean, you even think of tribal music for ceremonies.
Right. Yeah.
There was always something.
Right. But was there a ceremony every night?
The tarantella.
I don't know. Or was it, but the harpsichord, was something that was played a lot back then.
Mm-hmm.
And
you could play the spoons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Walt, there's also humming, like they
Yeah.
You can't they probably hummed. I don't know if they would know what to hum to, but they were making noises. And I don't know when it finally came together that it was a thing, but I would say that the sounds were there.
Yeah, I sort of feel that way too.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to be like a musicologist and see what they're, what they
I know that sheet music was a huge deal when that became a possibility.
Oh,
but I just wonder, and they went to the cathedral on Sunday morning.
The pipe organs.
Music. Yeah.
The big pipe organs.
It wasn't everywhere all the time like it is now.
No, I'm sure you're right about that. But
so my parents they grew up in the 40s. So I love the big band sound because we always had the big band sound. They used to take me to the Dryden Theater, and there was these big Busby Berkeley movies that always had
how fun.
These, big sound, they were always dancing, and there was big bands, and which is why they probably couldn't understand. Luckily, my husband and my cousin both play, they prefer from a jazz perspective. That's actually the kind of jazz they prefer to play.
Oh, that's good.
The older kind of big band.
I can tolerate that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's when it's, because how it comes together, and that Walt, again, the engineering thing. When the horns go on and go off, and when the strings go on and go off. I played the accordion, which didn't fit into anything.
Don't you love that?
Oh, yes.
I played piano and organ
Did you?
for 9 years.
Did you?
Age 7 to, mid-high school or something.
Wow.
And you hated it the whole time?
Hated it. And they were always at me did you practice today? And and the highlight of my career, I actually played the organ in a church. Mass was going on, and I had to pay attention and play at the right times. And
oh, no.
My last performance, I played, the song, what is it called? This Old Man? Knick-Knack, Paddywhack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played that really slow, like a choral number, and nobody said a word. Nobody.
Did anyone get it? No one got it.
They were probably like, this is beautiful.
Yeah, it's good. That must be Bach.
Yeah. That must be Chopin. This is beautiful. Yeah.
That must be one of Bach's lesser known masterpieces.
Right.
Wally, we were talking about one thing that strikes me as my need to organize music. So I have all my ticket stubs. I have a spreadsheet with every concert listed that I've ever seen.
Wow.
I mean, this is, I'm really, I am admitting to nerdliness, right? So I've got the spreadsheet, the ticket stubs, and then in my mind, I have like who all my favorites were. And then I have this desire. So like, let's say I've been getting rid of albums lately, you know, over the past several years. Cause I just, you know, so probably I have like 300 left, let's say. I have the greatest desire to make a matrix, the 300 across and 300 down, and rank each one against each other one so I can come up with my absolute favorite album of all time.
You should do that.
Why do I have to organize it like that?
What a project.
I know. Could you imagine? But why do I feel that need to
I don't know.
have it organized?
Are the
like
ticket
that?
stubs in an album, or are they just...
Well, no, but I just saw online a ticket stub album. I'm like, I should get that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My goal is to put mine in a coffee table.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that.
So a glass coffee table. Yeah, because it becomes kind of a conversation piece, and
I have it in a ceramic jar right now.
I don't know what that compulsion is, though.
Yeah, no.
You do the same with movies, right?
I do the same thing with movies. Like with movies, I have my top 10 weird ones, my top 10 funny, my top 10 scary, my top 10 action.
Name your top 3 bands.
Mine?
Grace.
Oh, Grace.
At the moment or of all time?
Off the top of your head.
Right now, Nico Case is definitely number 1. I really like Jack White a lot, although his last album sucked. And I really like Leaky Lee. She's this sweet, I think she's from Sweden. She's like a real pop singer, but it's really good pop. It's not like Taylor Swift crap. It's really good stuff. I would say those are my 3 top right now. Although, oddly enough, the thing that I have been listening to for the past, like, 5 years, all the time, is Nick Lowe's greatest hits. You know, like Nick Lowe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot Child in the City?
Yeah, no.
No?
Nick Lowe is I Love the Sound of Breaking Glass and Cruel to Be Kind. And
That's right.
Yeah, he was the big with Elvis Costello and all
That's
those
right.
people. He's a big producer, too. But, and I read his biography, too, and it was really fun. So, I don't know, for some reason, like, his greatest hits. But that's another category that I have. Like, what are the albums that I listen to over and over and over, no matter how old they are, you know? And there's probably like 10 of those, 10 or 15 that I will never, ever stop listening to, you know? So, But again, I have to say, I have a category for that, you know? I don't know why I have to do that.
In the book, The Power of Music,
yes.
Elena Manas says, scientists have found that music stimulates more parts of the brain than any other human function.
I'm sure that's true.
I am, too.
So my brain has been largely unstimulated for all these years.
I mean, there's got to be some genetic part of it then, too, don't you think?
I have other holes in my brain.
You do? Okay.
It might be Swiss cheese brain.
Yeah.
Do we have a button to put on this?
I don't have a button. Although I could tell you about the tarantella. It was a cure for the bite of a locally common type of wolf spider named tarantula.
What?
Ow.
To cure through perspiration the delirium and contortions attributed to the bite of the spider at harvest time.
Wow.
The dance was later applied as a supposed cure for the behavior of neurotic women.
Well, that's enough for me.
Me too.
It could lead to a hysterical condition.
So it's like the menopause song. Thank you. I'm here till Thursday. No, but seriously, if you enjoyed this episode, heck, even if you didn't, let us know via Twitter at CharbroiledC or email us at charbroiledchats@gmail.com. It would be great if you could leave a review of Charbroiled Chats on iTunes or Amazon Music or Google Podcasts or wherever you download podcasts. Also, please tell all your friends and family to give Charbroiled Chats a listen. By the way, am I in the next episode too? Yes? No? We don't know? I mean, I'd just like a little heads up. It's no big deal, but if I knew ahead of time, I could maybe prepare a little more. Just saying. That would be great. Just a few minutes warning doesn't seem like a lot to ask.